I ain't mad at it though. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. 'Cause I love some food.
We like to feed people.
Let me tell you, I'm not mad at it.
Listen, okay.
I ain't mad at it. You know
We
what's
ate
so
a good
sad
breakfast
though?
this morning though.
You know what's so sad? When I meet somebody, if I'm talking to a dude, and even my ex-husband, my main thing was, they were like, what's your hobbies? And I would be like, I like to eat.
Like to eat.
Stop
So don't
saying
be
that.
trying to blame me that you like to eat.
I do like to eat.
Okay then.
So when we sign my DMs, I'll be like, he's like, what's your hobbies? I appreciate y'all for asking that. When I say I like to eat,
Mm-hmm. You like to eat.
I like to eat. But it's like,
What's your favorite food though? Like what's your favorite, like you like Italian? You like Jamaican?
I love Jamaican, of course. Oh my gosh, I can live off that all day. But outside of Jamaican, you'll never go wrong feeding me barbecue chicken.
Barbecue
Very
chicken.
well done.
Yeah.
Barbecue chicken
The
with
ribs. I like
where the sauce
ribs.
is like it's like burnt into the chicken's flesh. It's like I could just taste it. Like you gotta pick off the burnt barbecue sauce on chicken. It's the most amazing feeling. With some cornbread. And oh my gosh, if you can see like, oh,
I see.
it's the emotions I get from thinking about it.
Really?
It's emotional.
Okay. Okay, on that note, welcome back to another episode of So Problematic. This is your girl Cici.
And Jay.
And we in 2021, y'all.
Where the money reside.
Oh, here we go.
Where the
again.
money reside. Where the money reside. Where the money reside. Where the money reside. Where the money reside. Where we living. Where the money reside. Where we sleeping. Where the money reside. Where we eating. Where the money reside.
Okay.
Like a theme song.
Okay. Yo, he had me cracking up. You hear me? Cracking up.
Dying.
Like, for real.
Dying.
Like, that was just, I even had, you see Jacob tried to say it.
So cute.
He couldn't say it right.
So
My baby, he tried to say it. It didn't come out right.
He's so cute. He's such a boy.
Such a boy.
Because, you know, Mackenzie, I'm like, say where the money resides. Girls just like, where the money reside? He's like, say that. Come on. Mom.
Yeah, that's basically
like,
how he felt.
Oh, come on.
He's like, why am I saying this?
Why am I saying this?
Who is this person?
Such a man. No, such a boy. It's like, He's like, all right, money resides.
Right. He's like, where the money reside?
Where the money reside? Like, God.
So how you feeling in 2021 thus far?
I am feeling amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. I mean, I start my days with devotionals. Sunday today was a praise and worship. Just praise and worship this morning. Listen to praise and worship music and just like really thanking God and reminding myself to put my trust, my hope, and my all into Him.
Yes.
And, you know, just focusing on the bigger picture and not on the smaller things. Like, you know, don't look at where you're at. Look at where you're going. Don't look at where you see. Look where you can't see and what God can see for you.
Yes.
So 3 days in, it's the third, right? Third? No, is it?
Yes, it's the third.
Third.
3 days in.
3 days in.
We're here.
It's amazing.
We're healthy.
Healthy. Alive.
Our children are healthy.
Yes.
We're alive.
And it's just
some people did not make it to see the third day of January 2021. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed, highly favored. I'm looking forward to new beginnings, new successes, you know, and just making it happen for me and my family.
You know what? Things did come over from 2020 because problems just don't stop because you say
they don't.
2021 came.
But you just have to be more like thankful, have that faith. You know, like you just have to appreciate where you came from during 2020. You know, like it should have opened your eyes to certain things that probably happened in your life during that time. But it's a new year, and I feel like you always should have a different mindset regardless, not just because it's a new year. You should always have a positive mindset going into each month, each week, each day. Like you wake up, right? Every day. So why not have a positive mindset every day? It starts new and it starts fresh every day. not every day you're going to have a positive mind, because sometimes you can wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're not feeling that day. But with prayer, with meditation, pick up that Bible, get that word in, talk to a friend that maybe can be there to say, hey, I need somebody to talk to. Now, speaking of friends and family, we're talking about toxic family today. Toxic. Because I think everybody has toxic family.
That's a fact.
Whether it's a close relative or an extended, relative, aunts, uncles, cousins. It could be your own sibling. It could be your own parents. Some people were born into families that they just adore. Like, I've seen relationships where parents are like their kids' best friends. Siblings that are inseparable, where they can't go a day without talking to each other. Birthdays, holidays, vacation, family reunions. A big thing for them. All of that means a lot to them. But you have certain other individuals who are born into families who are just plain toxic. Receiving a phone call from a toxic family member can trigger them. It could cause anxiety. It could cause like memories of something that dramatically happened during that time. You know what I mean? And we want to just basically go into more of a deep conversation about that, because I feel like it's not talked about a lot. Basically in our community, that certain things that you probably thought, oh, it's just a Black family thing, it's not really healthy. No, it's not. No. Like, it's very toxic. And I want to say that I grew up kind of comparing myself and my situation. Like, once you become an adult, you kind of see like certain traits that your parents did or habits that they had going on in your family household was very toxic. It wasn't good energy for you. It caused you in your adult life to kind of have fears in certain areas in your life. So for me, it's more like that dysfunctional family member. Sometimes you have to pull yourself away from. But not sometimes, you should. You should. In my opinion, you should, because it's not healthy for you. Yes, it is difficult too, because you think of family like, that's my family, I need to stay close to them. But no, like, sometimes you have to separate yourself from that family member that is causing, whether it's your parent, your sibling, aunt, uncle, whoever, grandmother, whoever it is. You know what I mean? Okay. So there's certain things that I basically have here that we probably need to recognize as toxic traits, toxic triggers, toxic energy that came from that family member. And I'm not putting any particular family member out there, because like I said, we all have that family member, whether it's 1 or 10. We all have family members in our family that is toxic. Or maybe you're the toxic family member. I was just about to say that. Honest with you. Sometimes it's you. I was just about to say that. Sometimes it's you. And you're just like, why am I the black sheep of the family? I felt like that before. I felt like that before, being the black sheep of the family, the outcast, as they say. You ever felt like, I want to say, I did. I felt like a Cinderella. I feel you. I felt like a Cinderella. Like, if Cinderella was like, if I had to pick a story, I think that story would be more relatable to me. Like, and it wasn't because of every family member, but it was certain family members that brought those traits that made me feel that way. I probably thought it was normal because I was in that situation. And when you become an adult, you have your own children, you grow to realize either you're gonna do the same thing that triggered you, because you find yourself doing it sometimes, or you'll do the opposite and say, wow, my family member really did that and that bothered me. And now I know I can't do that to my kids. So it's like for an example, I have one that says you were harshly criticized. There's a certain particular family member that used to criticize everything I did. everything. It was never something I did good. Never something I did correctly. Just criticizing your behavior. Like if you told me to go do this or do that, and if I did it, oh, you didn't do this right. Didn't I tell you to do it this way or that way? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of teaching me, what is that? Constructive criticism is what a child needs during their growth so that they learn to accept the criticism in a positive way, not in a negative. Because if you think about it now in your adult life, sometimes when people receive criticism, it's associated with negative all the time.
Yes.
Instead of thinking, oh, this is constructive criticism, let me take that in, let me learn from it, let me do better.
Even with constructive criticism, now going to a therapist, a marital therapist at that time. Sorry, she made a good point. She's like, sometimes constructive criticism is a cover up for criticism. Meaning, she's like, even too much constructive criticism is too much for somebody. You got to learn to pick your battles wisely. Like, for example, you tell a child to mop the floors, wipe the glass, and to put their shoes away. If they did all three wrong, you know what? Pick the most important one for that day. You know what? Hey, let me show you how to mop this up. So that way it's easier on you. Yeah. You did an amazing job. I love how you did it. And her big thing to anybody was too much of any criticism is too much, period. Because the main word here is still criticism. Yeah. And you have to pick your battles wise, especially with kids. Yes. You're right. When you feel like you're being beat down, criticized. For me, I've never gotten that as a child. I've gotten that in my marriage. And that's why the separation for me, thinking about it now, for me, was like, thank God in a way, because it's hard to be with somebody where you cook, clean, do everything, and they don't see the positive. And I'm gonna tell you now, it kills your soul. Wow. It kills your soul to the point where I'm questioning, am I a good wife? Am I a good mother to my child? I mean, I know to clean a house, but you feel like the thing that you know deep in your heart, you don't know. So I can only imagine a child, the thing that you feel like you know, and kids hold on to the little thing they do right. Yep. So to be told you're not doing this right, or one day you're doing it wrong, people who criticize have a control problem in my eyes. Because you have to understand there's 3 million ways to wipe the floors. I'm gonna put him out. But my biggest argument before I got divorced is washing the clothes. And I never realized how people who criticize are very controlling. Hear me out. Our argument, and he brought us up in therapy, and I'm bringing this to you guys not to bash him. I'm not bashing nobody. I'm just gonna let you guys know for the signs to look out for in the situation, and to know where you need to stand, because I didn't know this until now, and now I wish I knew it. So I put the clothes in, then I put the laundry in. I put the detergent on top. He put the detergent on the bottom and laundry on top. Okay. And I was fine with either way, because in my mind, the clothes was being cleaned regardless. Yeah. But to him, that was a problem that he literally brought up in therapy. And was like, she doesn't wash clothes right. And the therapist said, correction. She doesn't wash clothes the way you do it. Yeah. Does not mean they're not getting washed. Yeah. They're still getting washed. So when you criticize somebody, make sure you're criticizing them on the right thing. Don't do it because not the way that you want it done. Yes. Do it because obviously the floor is still dirty, or the window is literally still dirty. Yeah. Not because it's clean, but they didn't scrub it the right way. They didn't do it the way you wanted. Because when you start doing stuff like that, you're being toxic. Yeah. Because now you're starting to nitpick. And that is not a good trait. Controlling. It's not a good trait. It's not a good trait. I gotta throw that in because that hit something. That hit something over and over again. That was a big trigger for me. So people would criticize me now that I'm separated, and they would criticize me now. I had to learn to not be triggered by criticism, because I'd be like, no, I did it right. Yeah. But I'm like, no. You're reacting to them because throughout your marriage for 7 years, you were always criticized. Yeah. For every little thing. And after a while, it gets to you. It's something that is a very toxic trait. Yes, so it is. If you're doing it, please mine was during my childhood, which in my adult life, I realized everything that I was doing, especially in my relationships or anything, I always wanted to make sure I was doing right, because I remember being criticized when I was little for doing it. And it's like,
that's why the perfectionism to me is like I want to be perfect at everything.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning that obviously now, but it had to be something that I realized it was a trigger for me. So it's like when you do that to your kids or your loved one or your wife or your husband, you have to realize your words actually carry. That criticism that you're putting onto that person, it carries.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it could do to their future or to their self-esteem, to the way that they develop as a person. Because you can help develop a person and you don't realize you do that, especially with your own children or anything like that. Yes. But to me, that criticism is me doing that over here.
I think the best thing to do is open it with a compliment and end it with a compliment.
Yeah, I agree.
End it with a compliment because you want them to know that, yes, I think it's still kind of dirty, and I think, let me show you how.
Or even don't do that, especially with a child.
I think with a child, cut you off, just show them.
But even with a child, like Jacob is 7 years. My son is 7 years old.
Yeah.
If he wants to work out with me, or you see, I can correct him. If he's working out with me, he's not doing something right. Let him learn. Let him enjoy. Let him have fun. He likes to clean the tables with me. I let him clean it to let him know that I think he's doing a wonderful job. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll come back and clean it after him.
Yeah.
Without him knowing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's the simple fact that he felt like he did what he was supposed to do, and he helped mommy. He helped clean the table. Why? Why should I sit here and be like, no, you didn't do that right. Wipe it like this.
Don't kill their momentum.
No, come on.
Yeah, don't kill their momentum.
Now, if you're talking about a teenager or something like that, like, baby, you did a good job. Maybe next time use a little bit more of this or that. Put that little pressure in there a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Make it a little fun or jokey with them.
Yeah.
Jokes. I joke with mine all the time.
Shoulder in that
put that
thing.
Shoulder in there like this.
Shoulder in that thing. Working. They look at you like you stupid. But they get it. They're like moms.
Right.
But it's not like look what you did.
Yeah.
You don't want that. And
criticizing that person or your child, please. It's toxic traits. It really is. So learn how to be careful with your words, basically. Another one would be like when a person's needs is not met, your child, your wife, your husband. I would use kids for an example, making sure that your child is doing well in school. If you're not checking on your child in school, like I check on mine all the time. But I know the feeling of neglect, of just going through school. I wasn't an A/B student, but I also wasn't like a whole F student. But I felt like if my parents, I ain't gonna say a whole F, like what I'm saying, not all Fs. One or two. You know what I'm saying? One or two. If I feel like when my parents was like maybe a little bit more involved with my schooling, or what is it, like activities after school, I did track. Be more involved to make sure that your kids feel like you're there for them. When I say needs are not being met, kids have needs.
Oh yeah.
Your spouse has needs. Your family member probably has needs. Just being there on the phone, conversating with them, or hearing them out if they're going through something. You never know what that person has needs at that time, and you're just neglecting them. That could be a toxic trait. And then the one that irritates me is that you're always the want to be heard person. You always want to be heard, but you're not willing to hear nobody else when they're in need. That's a toxic trait.
Very much toxic trait. That's one thing I cut people off for nowadays in 2021. Because I'm a talker. So I know for me, I tend to talk a lot. I'm a talker. I'm an extrovert. If you want to know the definition of extrovert and the definition and the definition and what's that thing? Dictionary.
You're
gonna see me like this, right there. That's me. Talk it all out. talk to the dead. Okay.
Talk.
And I know one thing about me is I have the ability to talk all the time. And the person is not being heard. And one thing I've learned to do is when I get on the phone with somebody, I'll say something as a matter of fact, oh, how was your day? How are you doing?
Yeah.
And I had a friend, she was like, yo, you was asking how my day is. I said, because I know my ability to talk all the time. So I need to check in with you first before I just go in my tangent. I want to make sure you're good. And here's one thing I've learned that I think I want to pass with you guys here is if you haven't heard from somebody in a while or they're acting strange with you, never, and I've done this and I stopped doing it and now I do this instead. Where I used to be like, yo, you couldn't call me, talk to me, what's wrong with you? Now my biggest thing is, hey, are you okay? I said, let nobody die. I said, you fine? Because my thing is I'm covering all the bases before I cuss your ass out. So for me, I'm making sure I do it. My friends will tell you, they be like, this girl be like, you all right? You okay?
Is you good?
Is something all right with you? Like, I want to make sure you are good. Because you ain't going to have me cuss you and be like, oh, my dog, you died. I don't hear that.
Right.
So I'm going to make sure you tell me this ahead of time so I can be like, oh, dang, that's why you didn't call me. That's why you're upset on the phone lately. Get it out the way. Because that way you're making them know, hey, I'm making you get this out before I get on your ass about why I didn't hear from you because I care. Right. But then I always end it with, I'm only getting on you because I'm worried. Like, you're a friend. I gotta make sure you're all right.
Yeah.
You know, just, and that's something that toxic people do is they just go into jumping and blaming and arguing with people. Yeah. No, even if I'm mad at a friend, I'm gonna be like, yo, girl, what's up with you? You all right? Is everything okay? Did you eat? Is your kids okay? Is your husband all right? Anybody died? Any car crashes? And they're like, no. And sometimes they'll just say, you know, I've been going through a lot. My period started. You know, women, period started. Yeah. And you know, I'm just emotional now. And then I'll be like, I got you. So me in my mind is like, tone it back, sis. And going into, you want some chocolate, girl? Yeah. Go to TGI Fridays and get a little ice cream, whatever.
Being needy. Yes. Those people. Yeah. I mean, I'm a very helpful person. Like, I like to help people. So most of the time, I don't mind like calling my friends, family member, you okay? You good? Everything's all right? You know, checking up on, if you told me a situation, I'll call you. I'll be like, did you get that situation done? You good? You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm pretty much good on that end. But I do have like one of my traits is like I don't really put my issues on other people. I don't. I normally hold it in. She over here shaking her head.
She'll hold it in, and then like when she does let it out, like I'm sitting here like I'm telling this girl all my shit. She going through all this, and I get mad at her, and I'm just like, yo.
Guess why? Guess why I do that? Because my parents wasn't there to hear me out. It was a bad trait. It was toxic. I wasn't able to release myself as a child to express my feelings because they was not there for me. They wasn't meeting my social needs, my emotional needs, my mental needs at that moment. And I'm not bashing my parents. Like I'm just telling that they had toxic traits. There were good traits and there were toxic traits. That was one of them. Yeah. So spending quality time with your child, I want to say that we had moments of that because it wasn't consistent. And I think a lot of the times I could speak for other parents also, when your schedule is busy, sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I feel bad. I'm not spending enough time with my child. I got too much going on right now.
Oh gosh, yes.
But when you realize that, that's a good trait because now you're putting that perspective and priority like, okay, let me get it together. Yeah, baby. My baby's important. Let me spend some quality time. Yeah. And to kids, especially young kids, quality time could only be 20 minutes.
Literally.
Like they just want to show you their baby dolls, a video game, or something in that nature to just say, I spent my quality time with mommy. Or Mackenzie's. Those little moments mean a lot to the kids. Yeah, it does. Growing up not having that consistently, I learned that during my dating phases before I met my husband, I was longing for that. And I felt like when a man wasn't giving me all of that, or my sister or my dad or anything like that wasn't giving me that I wanted, then I pushed them away. You know? So it's like sometimes you don't realize you're doing that So we're here to just kind of point some things out to help you guys that maybe you're doing it without realizing that you're doing it. And we want you to say, okay, maybe I am putting my kids off to the side a little bit too often.
Yeah.
Let me spend a little bit more quality time with them. One movie a week, 30 minutes at the park, reading books, here and there.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It doesn't take a lot. Trust me.
Baking some cookies together.
Cupcakes. It's the little things. Pinterest is amazing.
Yes.
I Pinterest a lot. With Mackenzie. And, she does a lot. She does makeup.
Cutouts, cut and paste, coloring.
I'll show you her makeup work later on in life.
And for my oldest son, he's a teenager, I want him to have a social life. That's one of his needs as a teenager, is to have a social lifestyle.
Yeah.
He has his cell phone. He's allowed to go hang out, talk to his friends. Give those kids that time and that space, that they have needs that they need to be met.
That's true.
Very so true. We speak briefly on this one, which is you feel controlled. Being in a relationship, you can feel controlled. Your parents can feel controlling. Sometimes you can have a friend who can be controlling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another toxic trait coming from a family member or friend. But that, we're talking family really right now, but there was a lot of that growing up in my childhood.
Being controlled is something that I would say, I love my family, my mom and dad. But we're from the island. We're from, Jamaica, where they are here again. And my dad's a pastor. Ooh, fun fact. I'm a pastor's daughter. So I was never able to go out. There was none of that. Because of boys. I was born with a vagina, so therefore I couldn't go nowhere.
Same here.
And then in the islands, my mom and dad wanted me to cook and clean. Preacher daughters. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Anyway.
So there's a lot of controlling there. What I wore, what I makeup. I couldn't even do my nails any color but clear until I was 18. I didn't wear pants until I was 18. I don't know. Let's be honest, y'all. Let's be honest with y'all here, okay?
Whoa.
Your girl kept it till marriage, okay? Because it was a big control.
Go back to season 1 for that one.
Go back to season 1. You're gonna know she was a virgin till marriage here. And it was a lot of, and even after when I got married, it was a hard time for me to consummate my marriage because in my mind was the no sex till marriage, no sex till marriage, to the point where I had to go to therapy.
They controlled all of that in your life.
I went to therapy to go ahead and consummate my marriage because I was so into, if you give it up, you're going to go to hell. And I'm a married woman. That's what the Bible says, to get married and do it.
Yeah.
And so that controlling as a child really followed me. And I realized how much it can damage.
It can damage you
as an adult and cause you to be controlling as well, to where it's like, I don't want this being done, that being done, this being done. And you check yourself. I was just about to say,
in your adult life, you notice either you're the controlling one or you're being controlled again by your partner.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's it.
I found myself in a relationship after moving out of my parents' house being controlled by my partner. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. Like
Codependency. Yeah.
Because of that toxic trait from that parent or parents, it was basically like, it was either something that was more comfortable for me to be in again, because I didn't know no better.
Yeah.
I didn't know no better. To me, it was a comfort zone because I was used to it. So it's like, for me, like, trying to control your relationship, don't do that. Trying to control your kids' relationships, don't do that. Like, if you feel like your kid is around somebody or being with somebody who's basically toxic for them, have a conversation with them, but don't try to control it. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to learn from their mistakes as well. And trying to control your kids' career path, Don't be telling me what you want me to be. Because at the end of the day, as an adult, I'm going to be whatever God wants me to be.
Yeah. And we're not talking about, you know how us parents are, we kidding giggles. We're like, she's gonna be a veterinarian. We know that's jokey. And we know that we mean like when your child's in high school and they're telling you, Mom, I wanna be a nail tech, and you're like,
no, we're going to college. We're doing this and doing that.
That's what we're talking about.
Excuse me. College is not for everybody.
It's not. It's really not for everybody.
They have trade schools out there. They have courses that you can take and still get some money. Where the money reside?
Where the money reside? Where the money reside? It's true. AC repair, these men make good money. Electricians make good money.
Yep.
You're not in college for that.
No.
It's the hustle. It's
the hustle.
It's the hustle of your career path.
Yes. So trying to control, that's a no-no. That is a trait, a toxic trait, whether it came from your family member or you are the toxic person in that family or relationship that you're in. Learn to identify that trait, whether you're doing it or it's being done to you, and let that shit go, boo. Because it's not, we ain't doing that over here.
In 2020, we're not doing it.
No. You don't feel loved, compassion, or respect. Yeah, those are not good.
Not at all.
Those traits are very toxic. I want to say that when you belittle your kids or your significant other, toxic, because you don't know what you're doing to their self-esteem. You don't know that you're attacking their vulnerable, feelings that they have at that time. Like my self-esteem was attacked a lot, to the point where I ain't trying to get emotional, but I felt like nothing. I felt like my mom left me, my sister left me, my dad didn't know what to do with me. He just brought some woman into my life to take care of me that wasn't treating me fair. Let's just be honest. And it basically made me, and then to mess with my confidence, my self-esteem, to tell me what to wear and who to be around, who to hang out with, how to belittle my choices that I chose that I wanted to do and tell me that I couldn't do it. It was toxic, very toxic. And it made me feel like I wasn't going to be enough for a man in my life, for my own child, to be a good mother. I had to learn how to be a good mother based on the toxic family member that I had, and say, I have to do better than that. I have to learn from that. I have to do the opposite of that. You know what I mean? And when you belittle a child, it does a lot to them. It does. How can I put it into words? Like, you want to know what suicide comes from? Sometimes it could come from your own parent. I had let me cry for you. I tried to commit suicide twice because I felt like I wasn't worthy of being here anymore, and my mom already left me. And I'm just like, well, if I'm such a big problem, then why be here? Why be on this earth and deal with the bullshit? So it's like, if I'm being treated this way, then maybe I should be here. So it's like, when you don't show that compassion and that love, and you always just take it away from this child's vulnerability, it does a lot. And in their adult life, I'm still learning to this day how to genuinely love myself, be there for myself, have that confidence every day. yes, my husband is always like, hey, you sexy. My kids, even my little one, 7 years old.
Cute. You did a good job, Mom.
You did a good job. He's my little confidence man. But it's just like you do a lot to a child because of your toxic traits. Like I feel like that person needs to go to therapy, obviously, for themselves. But like now I have to go through therapy because I've been torn apart.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like mocking your kids, you don't realize that that can deteriorate their self-esteem. It belittles them, it makes them feel little. Sometimes they take that and they go do it to the next person, not realizing that that person could be like, oh, now I don't feel like shit, now I don't deserve to be here. So it was like basically making me feel like I wasn't nothing, I wasn't deserving of being here on this earth. So it's the worst feeling. And because it was also controlling involved in that, while you're controlling me, you're also tearing me down. Can you imagine what that does to kids? Can you imagine, even if it's your husband or your wife that you're doing that to, can you imagine what it's doing to that person? Like now you have to go on and say, I don't feel like I'm worthy of anything. Nobody loving me.
From a spouse's point of view, it sucks. It sucks, especially when, as a woman, you give your body to have a child for somebody, and you know, in childhood, your body goes through a lot, and you don't feel sexy, you don't feel good, and to be belittled and to be told things like, "Well, I thought she would have snapped back by now," or "Girl, we started with this shit." Or to be told she should be looking better than that, or she needs to dress better than that, or because of the fact that you're living in, you know, leggings and a top because you're trying to hide your poop that the baby gave you. Your baby's less than 1 year old.
Wow.
That belittling and mocking from a spousal point, I would say it kills you. And it makes you think to yourself, well, I gave you a freaking child. This is what you're doing to me. And it makes you think to yourself, who did I marry? And why did I marry you? And I made a mistake. Because it's like supposed to be the best feeling to have this baby, and you start to feel like, well, damn, she took my body too. She's taking a lot.
So having kids too.
That emotional, like you said, being belittled and making somebody feel like they want to commit suicide. Now, for me, it was postpartum depression. And hearing that, for me, it was anxiety of me thinking that my child's going to die. As in, I can't leave her for 2 seconds because what if she falls in the bathtub and drowns? There ain't no water in the bathtub. I'll be at work for 10 minutes. And in my mind, I'm thinking my grandma could have been smuggling my baby because she didn't know better to put her on the bed with a pillow. You know, things like that goes through your mind. So with the belittling and all that, it does affect you.
It does.
And I will say one thing. The strength Cici has now as an adult to pull from that and how she is now, like you would never know this unless you chip into it and have to ask and be digging into her because she uplifts other people constantly. Her kids, she pours into them constantly, you know, letting them know, you know, you're smart, you're this, hey, pulling them accountable.
I have to.
Going up there and watching them games with them, you know, so it's like, you can tell the toxicity for her, it's like she's making an admission that it stops with her. It's like, which I'm not going to let happen is go to my children. And you can see it in her 2 boys and the way they look at her, they smile the way they are with their mother, you know? So it's like, I give her so much credit for the strength that she took and said, yes, you know what? My life is worth keeping. And look at where she is now, married, amazing marriage, with her 2 boys in a happy environment. Every day ain't happy. I don't know their personal business. I can't say all that. But what I'm saying is from where she came from and what she's saying till now, it takes a lot. And it's just like, I'm looking at her like in awe, like, girl, you did that. And I'm happy that she did not do what she wanted to do because I wouldn't have her here with me and I can't live like that. Just saying.
Thank you.
That's my rant. My rant for the time.
That was your rant?
That's my rant.
That's your first rant.
You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. I need you.
Yes, I appreciate that. I do have to pour that into my kids because that's not what I received. And I told myself that if I'm going to be here on this earth if I'm going to be a mother, if I'm going to be a wife, I'm going to do the opposite of what the toxic traits that was portrayed on me. So it's like, especially the verbal abuse, the emotional abuse, and the mental abuse. Necessarily no physical. I don't want to get into details with that, but I feel like kids got whoopings all the time. Um, I got them just because I was the oldest in the house. That's a whole nother story. But yes, but mostly for me, it was the verbal abuse, the mental abuse, and the emotional abuse. Those carry weight. They carry weight.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize that all that yet. Like, it's to the point where if I feel like I'm raising my voice at my kids, I get sick. I get distraught because I'm like, that's not what I want. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. That was done to me. It tore me down. I don't want to do that to my kids. So anytime I feel like I have to raise my voice at them, I step back and I say, give me a minute. I'll come and talk to you later. Like, you seen when I told him not too long ago, I'm like, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Because I don't want to get to that level with you where I feel like I have to raise my voice at you.
She's like, I will talk later when the company is gone. I was like,
yes. I feel like conversation is important to kids, because having a conversation to get them to the level of understanding rather than yelling it at them is very important. Yelling is a toxic. I feel like the only time you should be yelling is at a football game, basketball game, some type of game, or like Rod yell at the damn game all the time. Like, yelling at your kids.
Yeah.
No, like, I don't do that. I don't like it. That's a toxic trait I just can't do. And even if I do, I go apologize. I feel like I did something wrong when I do it. You know what I mean?
Because you feel like you're not teaching them how to communicate properly.
Exactly.
Like, you feel like you're teaching them to yell, and that's not communication.
No.
And I give people credit who break generational toxicity. Like my mom, for us, it was skin tone. My mom is the darkest sibling of her four that my grandma has.
Yeah.
My grandmother, and I'm not bashing family. Let me tell you this right now. Parents are people too, and they only go off what they know, what you were raised.
That
and
is true.
How you were raised affects how you raise your own kids.
Yep.
So my grandma was raised where she was the darkest one in her family. So, she got a lot of slack for being dark.
Yeah.
And so my mom got a lot of slack for being dark, where she felt like she wasn't valued as much. So for me, she was breaking that, because I'm the darkest child out of my three of us. And my older brother said one day, he was like, oh, you're darker than me. So that means, you need to stay out the sun. And my mom heard that, and I'm not going to lie to y'all, she reached her hand back and slapped the hell out of him.
Yeah.
And she drawn him up with her hand, and she said, what you will never do is comment on anybody's skin tone. Because when she did that, we were all shocked, like, well, damn, he ain't cursed, nothing. But she sat us down later on and said she remembers the slack and feeling undervalued for her skin tone. So her mission with me as her daughter, and I shout my mom out all day for this because she's amazing. She's freaking amazing when it comes to skin tones and colorism. So with me, people always say, yo, you're the darkest one in your group of friends, but you the one with your head held high, walking in front of the clique like, y'all can't tell me shit.
Right.
Because my mom has raised me to say, your darkness don't mean nothing. You are still the prettiest thing that ever walked this earth. You will walk in front of your friends. You are not going to hold your head down. And you're going to make sure your ass is together, period. So she knocked that generational thing out of the park. So my daughter, being a dark-skinned little girl, Mackenzie, every night I say, who's the prettiest girl in the world? She goes, I am. I get her hair sometimes. Like, who's the smartest girl in the world? She goes, I am. I said, who's the strongest girl in the world? She goes, I am. Because she has to know your skin tone don't mean nothing, honey. And I know Black Lives Matter, I get what you're saying, but as a Black dark-skinned woman, no. She has to know that you are just like the rest of the Black girls out there. When police see you, you're Black. So guess what that means? You're Black.
You're Black.
And that means if you got to fight twice as hard to catch up with the other races, get that twice as hard, because you mean the same as the white girl or the Spanish girl or the Indian or Chinese. You're a girl. You're the shit. So, kudos for breaking that generational curse.
I did.
And
I had to.
And being different with your boys. That means a lot from somebody like me. My mom did it to me. I'm going to tell you, they're gonna come back and tell you that. I tell my mom, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's amazing and it's the best feeling in the world. And I feel bad for my mom hearing what she went through. And I know they're gonna them hearing your story, they're gonna be like, damn, mom, we went through all that.
Yeah.
And you ain't do it to us.
Yeah.
It means that it means you love us like a little bit more. Like, dang, she really loves us like to be like.
I think a part of my therapy, because I went through a little bit of therapy, not fully, but I think also a part of my therapy for me is talking to my kids, explaining some of the traits that I received that were toxic for me. I talked to my boys. I explained to them that I didn't like the way this was done to me. So, especially my teenager, because he's reaching that level. You know, he's more of at a point in his life where he can understand more. Jacob, you would have to break it down, but I try to talk to him and explain to him as much as I can to a level of what hurt me and what got to me to this point in my life. And I tell him, if you ever feel like I'm not doing enough, or if I'm not saying enough, if I'm not loving you enough, I have those conversations with him because I want to know. That way I can step up if I have to, or I can do better in a certain area if I have to. And no, kids aren't always going to share with you because they feel like they're protecting your heart, they're protecting your feelings, or whatever the case may be. But I want him to know that it's an open invitation if he ever feels like he needs to share something with me, whether it hurts my feelings or not. Even if you have to get your child therapy, you probably may not feel like your child needs therapy. But you don't know that if they're not feeling comfortable enough to tell you because either they fear what you're going to say or they don't want to hurt your feelings, they might feel more comfortable sharing that with another individual. And probably get more of an understanding of how a parent can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel what you're saying.
So I think that having those type of conversations is good. Are important. So
see, that's when we get to that age. Let me tell you something. My 3-year-old, I'm gonna tell you something. This is funny. I'm gonna break the ice real quick. Anytime she used to go in the corner, you know, I tried to do corner. I ain't trying to whoop her behind all day. Yeah, she don't get beaten. To be honest with y'all, she's
that's fine.
Back in the day, I'd be like, my child will get whooped down. They don't act right. Yeah. But when you have your child and you see a little face, you be like, go in the corner over there, girl. But when she goes in the corner, she be like, mommy, you're being mean.
But listen, that's another toxic trait because. When is it or why is it so necessary to whoop your child all the time? Some kids don't need that. Some kids just need a conversation. Some kids need time out. Some kids need to be like, let me take this, what I know that you like. Let me take this away from you for a day or two so that you can realize what I mean by this is what you needed to do.
I like that because some parents don't really look into that. And that's what I feel
you have to know your child.
I've learned with her. She's a talker like me, y'all. Oh, she's a talker like me. She's a talker.
I feel bad for her kids.
I'm like, dang, yo, God really made her a talker. She had to talk all day. She'll talk till she falls asleep. And with her, I've learned her weakness. She's an extrovert also. Yep. So she's an extrovert. Yep. She's a talker like me.
That's my baby.
She got a personality. So for her, sitting in that corner is like hell for her. Yep. Because she can't interact and she can't talk to you. So she goes in that corner for 3 minutes. Now she's 3 is 3 minutes. I can't super nanny do that into that crap. Leave me alone. 3 minutes in her little corner. She'll sit there and you could see it. She is like boiling inside. It's getting to her. It's getting to her.
Because she can't talk.
She'll start bawling. Get it out. You think I beat her the way she be bawling.
I know.
And then as soon as she gets up, she'll be like,
listen.
And I talk to her.
Mine's is video games. I have 2 boys. All they do is play video games all day on their phone, all of that. All you got to do is take that away from them because that's what they like. That's what they love. It's not, you don't have to whoop your kid because I feel like when your parents, that's how they grew up. That's all they know. Remember, back in the days was not all this technology and all these other like freedom of speech. Like that trait where parents used to say, what stays in my house, what goes on in my house stays in my house, or no talking back. Even if you felt like you had something to share, they didn't want you to talk about it. They want you to shut up, listen to them, and then go to your room. Come on, man. Yeah. Like, we not in that generation no more. These kids do have opinions. They do have mouths. Like, at least hear them. Whether you feel like they're right or wrong, sometimes your kids could give you wisdom in what they say. Kids are very smart. Sometimes they could point something out to you that you probably didn't see it in that way, and you'd be like, dang, my child was right.
A lot of island families are big on that. Sit down, be quiet, don't move. And my dad never got whoopings. He never got whoopings. I don't know. His parents in Jamaica
they was different. Yeah,
they were different. They talked to him, and so my dad would come in our room and be like, "Why you do that? What happened to you? What wrong with you? You know, still getting in trouble for that?" And we used to be like, "Yeah, but he's like, you can't do them things." And my mom now, she was more of a hitter, but she would pop, 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 and then 2 minutes later, we said, "Don't come in my room with the foolishness." She would come in the room and be like, "You understand? I was upset because you did this, but you have to know you can't do this." So with Mackenzie, when she goes in a little corner and she comes back out the corner, I call her. I'm like, "Get over here." Yep. I get to her level, to we're eye to eye, and I let her know. My biggest thing with her is not listening. Yeah. And I do, for her discipline is safety reasons. Like if she runs in the road, you go in that corner. If you ain't going down on my watch, you wait till you get 119, I'm out already. Then you can do your thing. But not in no 3. Right. So I said, listen, you can't run in nobody's street. Because the car will hit you. And you want your mommy that no more. Yeah. And you're gone. Yeah. No more ice cream. No more, talk to them on their level. No more ice cream. No more cakes and cookies. You're done.
Yeah, and then do that's you want mommy hurt to her?
Yep. Like, you know. I'm like, you want to make mommy sad? She'd be like, no.
I know.
No. And you know, you're hitting the core. Oh, baby. But she just get it. Like when she did the makeup thing in her face, I'll post pictures of that and show y'all later. Yes. I was upset, but you know, sometimes with kids, understand their age. You can't be going off of an adult expectation for children. She put makeup all over her face and did her makeup. She was trying to be pretty. I was upset because I was like, dang it. But then I was like, take a picture and show her at her wedding. Yep. And I was taking it off with a wipe and I said, listen, I gave her my little chapstick and I said, this is chapstick if you want it. I bought her some baby lip gloss for kids safety. Yeah, I gave it to her. Her lip be glistening 24/7. I know, but I explained to her, I know this is right, baby girl. You gotta get on their level. You can't be kicking over a child who's 3, 7, 17. Now, Kavi, I gotta ask you. Your son is 17.
He is.
You became a mom
at 17.
At 17. Now you've made it. You grew yourself to the age where you became a parent, and you see that he ain't know we're gonna get to that there. And he will be rising above and getting his education, doing what he needs to do. High five, kudos to you, mama. That's breaking generation right there. Yes. And so for me, I can only imagine that when you were at this age and you had a child with you, and to be going through that on top of that, because it's like
it was tough.
It's kind of like beating you down, and like then it's like wait a minute, I'm a mom, so it's kind of like, damn, I'm trying to explain this. Like I'm not really a child. I got a freaking child myself. Yeah, but yet you're beating me down like I'm nobody. So it's like how.
To me, that was more of an eye opener because the toxic traits was already happening to me, but when I became a mother myself, and I realized I'm like, wait a minute. I can't be doing this to my child. Like, especially once you have that connection with your child and you see that child, you're holding your child and you're doing all these motherly things to them, you get that sense of, why was she or he doing this to me?
It's starting to point out to you
like it was like, I couldn't, like this little child here, I could never do that. What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and then as they grow and he became a toddler and I just kept noticing more, I'm just like, what? Like this, no, I can't. That's when I really realized like those traits was not healthy. I let it go on because I was still learning. I was being a child. But when I became a parent myself, I realized that those traits was just not for me.
Not good.
It was not good. I decided to do the total opposite. And the thing about it is, I talked to my dad at that level now, to where I explained to him that I didn't like that. I didn't like that. So you have to understand that when you tell me certain things, to me, it might sound like it's cool for you or that you were used to that. But for me, I didn't like that. And I don't do that with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't. Gotcha. And he's like, well, you know, that's the way I grew up. My sisters and my brothers, and we did this and did that. That's you. don't put your toxic traits on me.
Got to.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do mine the way I want to do mine.
Mm-hmm.
No. Mm-mm. So basically I had to learn that, like, it wasn't good for me, but it, to me, those toxic traits, which I'm bringing it down to now, were, for me, it was challenges at school for me growing up, because I felt like I couldn't keep friends. I was afraid to have friends, connect to other kids, and because I felt like if they learned what I was going through, I didn't want nobody to get that close to me. It was embarrassing. And also it was like every time whenever somebody came over to the house, it was always embarrassing, because it was like, you know, like, it was just, I didn't want to go into details, but it was embarrassing. Having troubles with friends, health concerns, emotional distress, financial, all of that can be even in your adult life now.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like your parents wasn't spending money wisely. If you didn't learn that, or you didn't try to learn it now in your adult life of how to, like, save money and spend money, and it's a toxic trait.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've seen borrowing money, all of that nonsense. Like, when you've gotten too used to borrowing money all the time and still doing it in your adult life, and your adult life, and your adult life, I don't want that trait. Don't give that trait to me.
No.
It's not cool. No. Not saving money. I had to learn how to save money for myself. Who? Ask my parents about a savings account. They were like, "What's that?" Please. But yeah, like, these things are like, come on.
You know what? I was at the park the other day jogging, and I saw this man, this older man, black man, and this young black boy, and I jogged past him 3 times. The fourth time, I was power walking, and I heard him saying, "And that's why you must look into generational wealth, son. You need to look into stocks. We got to talk about legacy." And I was listening to this man talk. I'm thinking, dang. He's letting him know about leveraging in the marketplace, and leveraging in stocks, and leveraging in housing. And he's like, his words were, "So we got to take what you're thinking here, because I don't like how you're thinking, and put you more into what's going to make you grow your wealth." And I'm thinking, yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. He's like, "I don't want you thinking to take this dollar. Your mama told me taking dollars and going to the store." I was like, Daddy said it ain't happening.
Yeah.
Although that's what he was used to. Hearing that conversation, I look back, I was like, I hear you. And he was like, he's like, "I can't have my son end up like me with barely making it in my 50s. I was like, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Breaking that that toxicity and curses.
Yeah. That generational curse is serious, yo. It could be in a lot of different things that you just don't, unless you learn how to identify them, which we'll probably get into more in another episode. Yeah. But identifying those toxic traits is important. Deciding what to do with that family member is important. If you feel like, let's get to it now, because sometimes you have to, what is the saying? Feed them with a long handled spoon, or just cut them off. Period.
Come on.
You have to learn what works best for you, for your mental, for your emotional, and just for your well-being of you and your family, probably.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had to cut certain individuals out. Period. Like, I mean, I want to say that one of the reasons is because of the love that was there, and for the love of my family, close family members dealing with that person.
Yeah.
Is the reason why it took so long to cut that person off, or people off. But it could also be that you were so used to it that it was just always there. You don't know how to cut it off.
Yeah.
Or you feel like it's the wrong thing to cut it off.
You became used to it. It became normal to you. And
yes.
It's like, oh.
So it's like I basically had to learn to say, it ain't good for me. It ain't good for my mental, because I can't be walking around here like just emotional, distraught, letting my kids see that this person is tearing me down while I'm trying to build them up. No, we're not having that. So cut ties. That's what I had to do. but to each his own. Sometimes you probably have to, you know, just distance yourself. You're gonna see them probably at barbecues or family, you know.
Shit. My voice is like, listen, I brought you far.
I know. Okay.
My voice is killing me right now. I'm like, shit.
Y'all excuse because we got the coughing going on right now, baby girl. But we about to wrap this up because this could be a whole 2-hour episode, and we just want to let y'all know that to identify those toxic traits, basically, that came from that family member. It is okay to cut a person off. It is okay to distance yourself from that family member.
I'm the cut off queen, honey. My family told me this. They told me in 2020, they didn't realize how ruthless I was.
Mm-hmm.
They did. They said they didn't realize who I really was.
Yeah.
And because when you're going through a divorce, becoming a single mother, you're moving your whole apartment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going through custody battles, child support. You're going through, you know, wondering if God still even sees you as a human being. Hey, God, I'm here still. What's going on?
Yeah.
When they would do criticism and they throw criticism out there, for me, it was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've learned I did, I cut them off. Once I cut them off, I sent text messages that, listen, I think that we should not talk for a while. And they were like, for how long? I did 3 people last year. And this is like aunts and uncles. Not, I mean, blood aunts and uncles. Straight up. I said, I'm not sure how long, but right now I cannot deal with what you're giving me. And I cut them off. Phone, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram,
everything.
And I told my other family members in a nice text message, at events, I will not be attending if that person is there. Yeah. I know y'all like, ooh, I love when people throw out and say things like, be the bigger person. I
am being the bigger person.
Or I could be cordial. When it comes to your mental health and your emotional health, I make no apologies.
Has a limit.
I make no apologies. I used to be the one that would accommodate people. Not anymore.
Me too.
Not anymore. I'm cutting your ass off. Because guess what? If you really cared about me, you would stop doing what you were doing to cause that trigger and an emotional effect on me. My ex-husband.
Yeah.
We do not co-parent. We parallel parent. Meaning, you know, people say, oh, you got to learn to co-parent. Maybe one day you will.
Yeah.
Leave me. I'm going to say this in the most respectable way right now. Leave the fuck alone with that. And I'm saying that as in co-parenting is not for everybody.
Yeah.
And being best friends is not for everybody. What we do is my daughter is loved, taken care of, cherished, but we just don't be kiki and kaka. You don't know the backstory of somebody's traumas and triggers and toxicity in their ways. You cannot tell somebody how to deal with their pain, their hurt, and their trauma. Yeah. So the best thing I say is leave me the F alone with that. Leave people alone with that.
Yeah.
And let them cut. But either cut and disconnect because your mental health is priority. Yes. Not me smiling in your face.
Yes.
Not me giving you a conversation. Yeah. And the only person that's access to me 24/7 is my daughter and God. Yeah. And that's it.
I agree.
And so I agree with Cici 100% when she says, cut them off, cut them off, cut them off, cut them off. 2021, cut them off. But guess what? After a while, when they're acting like that, you're the problem because you refuse to cut them off and set boundaries. Boundaries aren't for them, it's for you.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you right now, life is freaking good, okay? I'm happy as shit.
I have my peace of mind.
Yes.
And I feel like I could be a better parent and wife and sibling to the ones that are around me. A friend. I could be a better friend to people. Like, it put me in a better headspace, not being worried about that individual. Sad to say, but if they're not willing to change and help the relationship grow, by all means.
That's like a meme I posted recently that said the one thing I realized is to take people for who they are and stop trying to make them what you want them to be.
Exactly.
And that's one thing I've learned in 2021. Like, what's like, okay, the one lesson that we learned.
She learned that already.
I'm trying to tell you. The one thing I've learned and I'm sticking to it is if you tell me I'm a duck, Jaleesa, and I eat duck food and I quack like a duck, I'm gonna be like, yep. I used to be like, no, I can make you an eagle. Come on, sis. Or come on, bro. Now I'm like, yeah, you a duck. Get away from me.
Right.
Block. Because now you hurt yourself going
Yes.
more intimate into it.
So we want to hear a little bit from you guys. Like, we want to know, how do you deal with a toxic family member? Like, do you cut ties? Do you distance yourself? Do you just go through the emotions and the trauma, and like, let us know, how do you deal with it? Because everybody deals with certain things differently when it comes to family. Sometimes it's hard for you to cut somebody off. So we want to know, how do you deal with it? Because this is basically from our point of view. And
if you are that toxic family member, I mean, call yourself out. Call yourself
call
out.
yourself out.
Call yourself out. If you were, how did you change that?
Yes, we want to know that
We wanna know,
too.
how'd you do that?
Yes.
Like, if you were, it's okay. Sometimes we have things that we were raised in and we don't change. And then we like, oh shoot, we need to change. And you do change. So let me know, like, how do you deal with that? And one more thing. What was the one thing that a toxic family member did to you that made you cut them off? I want to know.
Me too.
I want to know, what was the worst thing that happened to you?
And you ain't got to give, like,
no names.
No names.
No names. Just say so and so did
know.
it. I want to know what's like the worst thing they did. You know, did they say, oh my gosh, girl, will you ever stop gaining weight? Or did they say, oh, one more miscarriage? Whatever they said that was so hurtful, I want to know what they said and what did you do also. Let us know.
Let us know. And that's a wrap for this episode. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.